Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Awesome Sunday Show. Connor here.
And Pat.
So Pat, how was your week so far?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Yeah, it was pretty darn good. It's been a good week. Some eventful times, and I finally got done with a video game that I've been struggling with. Not because it's a hard game at all, it's just because I've just not been playing video games that much this summer. But that game is called what, Pat?
Uncharted 4: A Thief's End.
Yeah, and what an end it was.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, what an end. But I gotta say, it was a pretty damn good game.
I absolutely agree. So before we get into it, major spoilers in case you haven't played it yet. I mean, it's been out for
Good call, yeah.
3 months, but still, we'll just get the spoilers out of the way. There will be a lot of spoilers here.
Yeah. I think before, do you know, like, as far as out of the 4, or actually out of the 5 Uncharted, did you play the one for PS Vita?
No.
Okay. I played that one, but we won't count that one. I guess before we start our Uncharted review, do you have a list of like what your favorites are?
Well, I know it's for a while up until this it was 2, 3, 1. But now it's right now between this and 2, it's a toss up right now.
Really?
I played it. Well, the first time I beat this one, I was like, well, even before I beat it, I was like, holy fuck, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, the graphics are amazing. The voice acting is impeccable. The fighting is so fluid. The shooting, all the additions they made to the gameplay, the new stealth mode, just awesome. Blew me away. That I think it, as much as I love 2, I think this actually might have. Right now, I would say like there's a slight edge and it goes back and forth a little bit. I beat 2 like 4 times. I've beaten this 2.5. So maybe after another time. But right now, I honestly think that 4 might go 4, 2, 3, 1 for me.
4, 2, 3, 1. That.
Especially because the man Troy Baker was in this. That certainly helped a lot.
Yeah, he is the man. Great Joker, underrated Joker in Arkham Origins.
Yeah, it's just because the game performed so badly.
Yeah, well, the game itself wasn't very bad. It was the technical issues.
No, the story itself was good.
Oh yeah,
The gameplay had a lot of technical issues, and so the game wasn't very successful.
No, but I think if that game was smoothed out more, it would have been great.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so for me, it's actually 2, 4, 3, 1. That's how I feel. 4, I loved it. So funny story, I beat it in 2 sittings. I played it like a week and a half ago. Got to chapter 8. Then I sat down for 11 hours yesterday and beat the game. So
just so we can record about it today, folks. That's dedication.
That is dedication. But yeah, I loved it. It was great. But yeah, for me, it's definitely, I don't know. Uncharted 2 is like top 5 for me. I like that game. I never played a game like that before in my life. Like I played Uncharted 1 and it was cool because it was like, oh, it's like kind of like Crash Bandicoot but with guns.
Yeah, and 2 is just very, very different from 1.
Oh yeah, like I remember sitting there, the scene where you're jumping from truck to truck in the Himalayas or whatever you're at. Yeah. And then like I'm like waiting for like a quick time action, like just like God of War almost, where it's just like, all right, press circle to jump from this car. And like I'm sitting there waiting, I'm like, why isn't he doing anything? And I was like, oh, you have to move. Yeah. It wasn't a quick time, it was like actual gameplay. And I was like, damn, this game is fucking phenomenal.
Right.
So I don't know. Uncharted 2 it always has like I think Uncharted 4 technically and story speaking probably is better than 2, but just by sheer awe and just by like how the factor of like how new it was and how nothing ever came out like that, Uncharted 2 is still my favorite one.
Okay. I mean, that's a fair assumption. You can't go wrong with really any of the games, but 2.
And that final boss in Uncharted 2 is still one of the most fun I ever had.
I mean, Uncharted 2 is one of the best games I've ever played in my life, and now Uncharted 4 is up there. And if you don't know who makes Uncharted, it's Naughty Dog, the same guys who made Crash Bandicoot.
Jack and Daxter. And a little-known game called The Last of Us. Yeah. I think that's a
little-known masterpiece.
I think it underperformed, but cult hit. Is that true? No?
No, I think it's the other way. I think it's both. I think
it's more like
killed it and has a cult hit.
I think it sold like it sold like a few million copies, if not like
I'm pretty sure
5
it sold
million.
more when it got ported to the PS4.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. That game I beat like 4 times.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I beat it twice on PS3 and twice on PS4. And PS4, I didn't play grounded mode, which was like the hardest. I played like the second hardest mode, and that was tough. But I did it.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of Crash Bandicoot, I loved in Uncharted that little mini game, that like one part where you get to play a level of Crash Bandicoot.
You did it twice.
Oh yeah, twice. You're right.
Yeah.
And it was to see who gets to wash the dishes.
Yep.
Something like that. Yeah, that was great. When that was thrown in, I was like, oh, I hope I get to play it. And then you got to play it. I was like, oh, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So let's get a little bit into background on this story. So the voice cast is returning is Nolan North as Nathan Drake, the main hero. Awesome, as always. You got Emily Rose returning as Elena, who is now his wife after being like a on again, off again throughout the first 3 games.
Like an Eric and Donna.
Yeah, pretty Eric and Donna, except better.
Yeah.
And then we got Sully back, played by Richard McGonigal.
Who's my favorite character of the series.
Sully's pretty damn great.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But getting added to it now this year, we got Rafe Adler, played by Warren Cole, who's the main villain. Then we got Laura Bailey playing Nadine Ross, and Laura Bailey has been has voiced a shit ton of things. She's actually like one of the most popular female voice actresses for video games. If you played a game over the last like 5 to 10 years, she's probably had a voice in it. Then we got Robin Atkin Downs as drug lord Hector Alcazar, and then of course, last but not least,
the Honorable,
the always excellent Troy Baker as Sam Drake.
Yeah,
Nathan's long believed dead brother.
Before I played this game, when they talked about it, they announced it at E3 2014, I think, and then I think at E3 2015 or Gamescom 2014, I forget which convention it was. So sorry about that. But when they finally revealed that Nathan Drake had a brother, I was just like, really?
Yeah, I had the same reaction.
You had 3 games, and like you have no mention of a brother whatsoever. It's like in Secret of Nim 2, when like the one giant mouse has that weird prophecy just to get the plot going. Like I just was like, that's stupid. But then like they started releasing gameplay trailers, and then like Troy Baker started talking about it. They started talking about the story, and I was like, you know what? All right, maybe I'll give it a shot, because it's the same guys who did the story for The Last of Us, and it is Uncharted. There's a high quality to it. So I'm like, they're going to take it something different. And while I was playing the story, I was like, you know what? I actually really believe this. They found a way for me to believe that, yeah, he actually had a brother that he did not want to talk about. Especially because like the experiences they had and everything. And I mean, Nathan Drake led a new life, so there's really no reason for him to kind of bring it up. It still is a little weird, but it's not out of the realm of his personality, I feel like.
Right. Yeah, it's something that that he just kept to himself forever, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even tell his wife that he had a brother. Sully knew him, but again, Sully's not, maybe would have mentioned that previously, but whatever.
But there was really no reason to.
There's no reason to, and you know what? Doesn't matter, because I think they pulled it off very, very well.
Yeah.
They made it like a cliche last minute, oh, I have a brother, he's alive, but then like made it work really well, so it's not shitty.
Yeah, because like Nathan Drake has been so like it works because one, Nathan Drake has been around so many places in his life that of course there's going to be adventures with him without his brother.
Yeah, exactly.
And also 2, he even mentions like him and his brother were always in and out of jail together. Mm-hmm. So, and I before the game starts, Nathan Drake doesn't, not that he has a problem, not that he doesn't have a problem doing it. He's not a terrible person, but he also lied to his wife throughout like half of the game. So like I'm like, you know what? Like I can kind of see him not coming out saying he has a brother. It
Plus, he probably felt guilt, like it was his fault that he died.
Right. So he just shut it out.
Not something he wanted to talk about, I guess. Understandable from any person's standpoint, I guess. But you know what? Props to them for making it work. All faith in Naughty Dog. They're amazing.
Yeah, they killed it, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I really, really like the story. I think the story is probably the most polished one out of the series.
Yeah, I think the story probably is the best. I thought that with Uncharted 3. Even though Uncharted 2 is my favorite one, the story is kind of like the story gets a little more standard in the third act. What really made Uncharted 2 interesting was the fact that you had Nathan's new girlfriend and then Elena back in the mix.
Yeah.
So like them working like that dynamic made it very interesting. And also too, just the overall treasure aspect and like the Tibetan village and everything. Like there was a lot of plot elements that made that story interesting.
Right.
The characters in this one is what really makes it interesting.
Yes.
And I think they got that cue from The Last of Us, because Uncharted 3 you started really finding out more about the characters. It was less about the plot. And Uncharted 4 really took that and escalated it to a new level, and it works. It works very well, and that's what Last of Us did. And Last of Us is I still think out of the Naughty Dog games, Last of Us is probably still my favorite out of all of them.
Yeah.
Like the Uncharted's and stuff. But Uncharted 4, it's great. It's phenomenal. Like as far as when it comes to just like storytelling, is there things to nitpick? Yeah, there is, but it's also a video game that has like 15 hours of story to get across, and also like elements that were never introduced in other games. So like those stuff is really just nitpick, but they get right like great.
Yeah. They pretty much everything like I thought was almost like perfect. There are some nitpicks, but overall I would give, I thought
I won't even really mention them because it's just like not even really worth it. Like what they do right is so right. Like, is there a few things that like they could have like done leading up to the brother? There's like we'll get into it, I guess, a little later, but like the revelation of like between like what's going on really with his brother, I like found out like I knew like 8 hours before that. I was like, all right, like there's no way that this is it. So I feel like they could have done that a tiny bit better, but at the same time, like they needed it. Like looking back, they needed a reason for them to actually go out and go together. So like it made sense. I think that's more of a personal thing, just because I'm just a nut when it comes to movies and like TV shows, and like just like we are. So like we can find out things pretty easily. Right. I think the general audience probably would have been surprised
because we're super geniuses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing but you know what? I wasn't pissed about it or anything. I wasn't really annoyed by it or anything.
The acting was so good though.
Yeah, it was so good. I think like I want Nolan North and Troy Baker to work together on every game forever.
Yeah.
Because they're both so good separately, and then together they're just like unreal. Yeah. Like they're an awesome tag team duo.
It's just like when you listen to interviews with both of them and like hear them both in like the games, it's just like, is that really the same? Is that the same voice at all? You know, but they're just so natural at doing it, and like all they're really doing is just like lowering like tones and stuff like that, or high, or like making themselves more high pitched, but it just sounds completely different. Yeah, and I almost could watch a CG movie on these guys.
Oh, I could easily. Yeah. I could watch like a whole, hour and a half of them just sitting around bullshitting with each other.
It's just,
or out of character, either one. So about the gameplay, some new things were like the stealth element, and then which like pretty much every area they afforded you the ability to, if you chose, to completely take out the enemies via stealth without firing a single bullet.
Yeah, you can. I did it a couple times.
I did it on a couple areas. I know that if you do it throughout like almost the whole game or the whole game, with the exceptions of the parts that you literally can't avoid it, you get a trophy, I think. Yeah,
it's I don't know whether it's a bronze or silver or gold trophy. I would imagine it being a gold trophy because that's hard as hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't do that. I just like there was a couple instances where I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to go through that stealth, and I did it. But it's also Uncharted. I was like, I really want
you want to go out and guns a-blazing and punching the shit out of people.
Yeah, I want to feel like Indiana Jones here. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mixed it up a little bit. I did a little bit of both, but I thought that was like a nice little extra element to add to the gameplay. One thing I really liked that they did, they boosted up the melee combat system. So they tried, there was a couple, but really, really like toned down any instances of QuickTime events.
Yeah.
There was some here and there, but like a minimal amount.
Very
And
very
when they
minimal.
did use them, it wasn't an annoyance. Like it worked, it fit the moment.
There's only really one QuickTime event that was really disappointing. This is actually my biggest gripe with the game. And again, I'm just getting the gripes out of the way so I can just talk about all the stuff I absolutely loved and adored. But again, spoiler. The only time I really felt bothered, unfortunately, was the final boss, where like you have to dodge with the square and circle. I just was like, dude, like, can I just fight him, please? It was so annoying because they give you the opportunity to hit square and keep hitting him, but it doesn't do anything. So you're just sitting there waiting. And also too, like you either have to block left or block right, but like sometimes he jabs forward, and I don't know which one it was. So I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that was the only time I really was like, dude, come on, I really want to fight this guy. Like, fight him. Like the final boss in Uncharted 2, where like I kept shooting and running and shooting and running. I was like, dude, like this is great.
Yeah, but it's it's a different type of battle compared to the boss in Uncharted 2. This is like a sword fight, and their fighting system really doesn't have sword fight capabilities built into it. So that I could see why it was a QuickTime event.
Yeah, it was annoying. That was the first time in the game where I sat down. I was like, oh, I'm like annoyed at the game right now. That was really like, that was the first time that whole, and it was like the very end. I was like, come on, man, like really, like we had like you literally had actual gameplay, and I understand it's a sword, but. And I don't want to like compare games because I know game development is one of the hardest jobs you could ever have. And like I don't want to be like, well, you should have done this because like those guys work like 14 hours a day sometimes just to get a game out, and then people bitch about it. So, but like Metal Gear Solid was Metal Gear Solid 2 was a huge stealth game, and then they actually incorporated a sword system that worked for the final battle. And I'm not saying Uncharted had to do the same thing because it's a completely different game, but I was just like, at least let me hit him when I want to. It's like I played a whole entire game where I can fight people with my fists and shoot them whenever I want, and now you're limiting to me like what I can do. It's just kind of it took me out of the experience a little bit.
I got you.
So that was it. That was my only big gripe with the game. Like if I had to mark one thing, that would be it. It was the final boss battle, which was a little disappointing. I also kind of missed the like spiritual aspect the games had, or like the
Mythical,
and the mythical too, kind of like Indiana Jones, where it was like the first one, it was like the creatures like that dwelled in the caves in Brazil or wherever they were, with some Spanish country, and the second one was in the mountains with those like like those giant blue creatures, and even in the third one, it was more drug induced. It was like it was like the environment around them that like made them feel like they were seeing monsters. It wasn't really monsters, but at least there was something there. This one was just
sorry for sniffling if that picked up.
It did. It was disgusting.
Sorry.
This one like literally was like grounded in reality, 100%.
Yeah. I guess like the mythical side has always been a little interesting, but I don't mind that they didn't incorporate any of that into it.
I know some people prefer with it out. Some people like the grounded aspect, and that's fine. Again, that's more personal preference. I would never mark the game down for that because the story is so good. I just liked them having like it just had, I always appreciated that out of nowhere there was just like a mythos. Just like, oh yeah, by the way, like here's creatures that mankind has never seen before. Here you go.
Yeah, I was actually kind of expecting it throughout the whole game, and then I realized at the end I was like, oh, there's nothing like that this time.
Yeah, because they kept saying ghost pirates, and I was just like, I don't think it's gonna be ghost pirates.
Yeah,
but like, there's got to be something, and then like, because I expected something, just because I did expect something, just because everything, all Uncharted 3 led up to it. Now 1 and 2, it came out of nowhere that there was just these creatures. Like they there was hints and like in like notes and stuff like that, but if you didn't do that, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was expecting that with this game, but again, I would never mark it down. Just more of like, I wish there was like a monster, or like monsters or creatures.
I mean, you had the monster that was Rafe. You had the monster of, should I help my brother? Should I not help my brother?
You have the monster of greed.
Monster of greed. The monster of an angry wife.
Yeah. The monster of lies.
Monster of
Nathan
lies.
Drake. And Sam.
Yeah, but getting into the plot a little bit, I really like the flashback parts that you got to play as. When they're in the prison.
Yeah.
When it's Nate, Sam, and Rafe, and they're in that prison, and out of nowhere, attached to this prison is this massive, like, ruined of, like, I don't know, what appeared to be, like, this huge, like, cliffside village, but just attached to a prison that, like, you just walk through a door, then it's there, you walk back in the prison, and you can't see it anywhere. But it was cool, and the fights when you were a prisoner were really good.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun.
Chase sequence was really good. Speaking of prison, that's where you get a grappling hook. I thought the grappling hook was a nice addition to the gameplay.
It was. It made me kind of feel like Batman a little bit.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun. Especially not just swinging around on it, but swinging around and jumping off and like kicking some guy in the face.
Yeah,
I think I purposely like went to areas like that and just kept jumping off and kicking them in the face just because I wanted to do it.
I would jump off a cliff on purpose just because like I would swing and then just like land and there'd be a guy there. I'm like, I really want to hit that guy. So I would just jump off and start again and I'd be like, yeah, I got him.
Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun. It was a nice element, and it kind of took away some of the tediousness of all the climbing. Although the climbing in this, I feel like, was less tedious than it was in 3. Like, at points in 3, I was like, Jesus, like, this needs to stop now. Like, I'm over this.
Did you find some trouble climbing towards the end? Like, or it might have just been me, but, like, I would try climbing, and then, like, for some reason, like, he wouldn't grab on to, like, the nearest one. He would grab onto another one. That could have just been, like, me.
Are you talking about, like, ledges or, like, pretty much, like, small rocks for him to climb on?
Like, ledges, like him actually like doing the climbing, like rock climbing.
Ledges, no, but like where there's the area like where it's just like he's sticking his hand in like the smallest amount of like space between rocks and stuff, that I did. Sometimes he'd go up diagonal or down diagonal instead of going right. Okay. But when it came to like fully formed ledges, no, I don't think I
had the opposite. It was like I was like, dude, just go on that giant ledge that I'm pointing to, and like he would be like, then he would do it after like 3 clicks, and I was like, all right, I don't know, like it might have just been my controller, I don't know, but it was only towards the end, so like it was just kind of like it could have just been me being like, I want to get to the end, let's go,
Yeah. I also like the flashback with when they're back at that orphanage, I think it was.
Yeah, when they were back at the orphanage, when Sam was breaking him out, and Sam had that motorcycle. Yeah. Essentially, like, Sam as a kid was literally like the Rudy from Monster Squad, or like the badass kid from Bad News Bears. Like, he's just like that type of guy. Right. Except he's like sort of like a treasure hunter.
Yeah. And I like how they connected that they took that the house they went to was because they wanted to get their mom's stuff, and like that's the first mention of like their mom and stuff.
Well, yeah, that was later on in the game. That was right before the end, where that was when the second flashback.
Finally got to that, yeah. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Some more background building into Nathan, and obviously the new background of Sam. But it was a good addition because when you see Nate, it was 3 that they showed a lot of his background when he first met Sully. And, like, all you knew is that he was an orphan, like, pulling tricks on the street and, like, scamming people and stuff. And lifting wallets and stuff. But, this provided some insight into what happened to their mom, what she was like, their dad. Not a whole lot, but, just a little bit. To get a nice background. And then he goes into this boring, dive and recovery thing in rivers and stuff.
Yeah.
The scuba suit. Which, if you beat the game, you get these options to, like, they're like in-game extras. So, like, you can changed the filters of how the game looks. Like there's like a sepia filter. There's an ASCII filter. There's one that makes it like all into rainbows and stuff. And then you could choose what suit you want to wear throughout the entire, like all the ones that he wears throughout the entirety of the chapters. So on my second playthrough, I just played as him in the scuba suit the entire time. And like even in the cutscenes it showed up.
He's just wearing a scuba suit for no reason.
Wearing a scuba suit for no reason, swinging from a grappling hook in the jungle, beating the shit out of people with a scuba suit.
I'm not gonna lie, I do miss Donut Drake.
Donut Drake's pretty good.
I understand why they got rid of him, but it was so funny in Uncharted 2. Mm-hmm. He may have been in Uncharted 1, I just don't remember.
He was good regardless.
Yeah, it was, and he had that deep voice. He was like, oh, oh.
I really liked throughout the whole thing the like Sam and Sully constantly butting heads, always questioning one another. Even though it turns out Sully was in the right to do so, but Nate was, kind of blinded by his brother being back, that he like wasn't like agreeing with Sully on anything. He was kind of like back off Sully like whenever anything happened, and I like that new dynamic that was added into their friendship.
Yeah, it was like I feel like there's times where Sully didn't like feel threatened, but was concerned for him and Nate, as well as not just Nate himself, just as friends. And like you see that like kind of come to fruition in the part where Elena comes and discovers like what he's actually doing.
Yeah. And you know what I really liked, speaking of Elena, how like there was no part in this where she was a damsel in distress this time.
Nope, nothing. She like learned till like throughout the games, I guess, just going on crazy adventures with Nathan. Like she learned how to like survive.
Yeah, she can survive on her own. She can kick ass. She saves Nate. And I like that. It's good to have a female character in it that's not a damsel in distress, and it's even better to have one that kicks ass like Elena does.
Mm-hmm. And Elena is the one who like comes to terms in the end of like who they really are, and like they don't. And what I love about the ending of the game, it was one of the few times where ending was very long and I didn't mind. I was like sometimes I'm just like with a video game like end.
Yeah,
they like keep going on, and like Naughty Dog kind of does that. But this one I felt like, just because if this really is the last Uncharted, I felt like it was like fitting, like all the endings that came about.
Yeah.
But the one I love the most, even more than like the final ending, was when Elena's like explains like when they're buying the company that Nathan works for, and then like what they're actually gonna do. And she goes, it's completely legal, but like she's like, after the last trip I kind of realized, like who we like are, like we said we'd never do this again, but
we're meant to be treasure hunters.
Yeah, we're meant to do this. It's just like she's like coming to realize I can't really stop, and you see that in her face when she's helping Nathan, like when he's like getting all excited talking about like, we got to go here and here, and his eyes like light up, and she's like, you can't stop somebody from doing that 100%. And even if she could, I think she's a good enough person to realize like that's not fair,
right?
Because it led to him lying.
Exactly. And you know what? I think that there is a part of her that really liked it as well.
Oh, yeah. She even admits it.
Yeah, that she really likes it. And speaking of the ending, I really like the part where you get to play as their daughter and discover like what her parents were up to like before she was born.
Yeah, she it's kind of cool if you were I think the reason why I feel like they added that is because PS4 is outselling PS3 incredibly well, and I think a lot of people that played Uncharted 4 probably never played Uncharted 1 through 3.
Right.
So this is almost kind of like, hey, like if you never played, like this is like what you've missed, and hopefully like people can go back and play because they're on PS4 now.
Well, yeah, they had the Nathan Drake collection.
Yeah, and it's 1 through 3. I never played the Nathan Drake collection because I played them all originally on PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't really need to play these again. Maybe I will one day. I don't know. But it was fun, like, to see. It's like, oh, like, I remember that, or that's cool. And some of the artifacts that they find and everything, like, it's like, oh, that's from 3 or 2 or whatever. Yeah. So it was neat. It was like, I got it right away. I was like, this is definitely somewhat for the people that never played the other 3.
Right.
That just started with 4.
Right. As well as providing a little nostalgia for everyone who did play the first 3.
Yep.
And I also think, there is the question, is this the last Uncharted?
I think it is.
Or not?
I definitely think it is. For Nathan Drake, at least.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It is for Nathan Drake as the main character. I think that the ending of the game kind of set up the future of the Uncharted series with their daughter. Like, if the game was going to continue, it could be from the point of view of their daughter.
Or I think Sam.
Or Sam. I would take Sam. I would be happy with either way.
I thought Sam was awesome. Like,
Sam was awesome.
He wasn't a terrible person, and I feel like the way Nathan Drake was at the end of this game compared to like how Sam was, he's like, yeah, I can't. It's like, it's emptiness. Like, I got to do more. Like, I got to, I'm like, this guy is gonna continue the treasure hunt.
Yeah, and I want a game of him and Sully just like partnering up the entire time, and just like all the banter they have, like ripping on each other and like butting heads and stuff, but then laughing it off a couple minutes later. I want a game full of that. But I'll even, if they decide to go with the Uncharted series, continuing it or starting a new one with Nathan and Elena's daughter as long as the games are still great, I don't give a shit.
Well, I think as much as I love the series, I like all of them. I even like the PlayStation Vita one, and I know a lot of people like shit on that one, but I feel like it's getting a little redundant, just because I feel like they should end now. They're on such a high note, and the thing with Uncharted is that like you can't really change that series, like the way it plays, too much. It's kind of
really will lose the spirit of Uncharted.
Yeah, and there's also 5 games of almost the exact same gameplay, and as much as I love the Uncharted series, it's not like Mario where it's like, okay, we're gonna put him in hell today, and then like it's just him platforming through there. Like, you can kind of do that with those characters. Like, Nathan Drake is an established character. He has personality. He has traits. There's things that you expect him to do or not to do, and like I've kind of seen every aspect of that. And then I've also played collectively probably over 100 hours of this type of gameplay. I kind of would rather just see Naughty Dog just do something brand new,
right?
And I know people are like, oh, well, your favorite series is Super Mario. That's been around for like 30-something years. And I'm just like, yeah, but also if you play Super Mario Brothers 1 Super Mario Brothers 2, those are vastly different games. And if you go from Super Mario Brothers 1 to Super Mario Galaxy, that is even huger of a drastic difference. And because you can do that with those characters.
Right.
And like this one, I'm just like, as much as I love this series, maybe one more. Maybe one more for like with Sam. But like, I'm okay with it just being done.
Okay.
Let it go. Finish a Last of Us trilogy.
Last of Us trilogy would be awesome.
Give us something new. And I'm totally cool with that. Totally cool with that. It was a hell of a ride. Like, let it end.
Yeah,
now.
That's for sure. Yeah. No, I think this is the final one. It's a seriously solid ending. To a series.
It like wrapped up everything.
Yes.
Literally everything. Like Uncharted 3 at the end, I was like, okay, they wrapped up some stuff, but I was like, I knew like it didn't like catch me like this one did. I was like, dude, they're going to his daughter. This is it. And there's a dog. Like, they ain't going nowhere. You can't just leave the dog there. And it's just, I knew I in my heart of hearts, I feel like this is really the last one, and I want it to be because not because I was like, all right, this one was so disappointing, just please end. It's because it was so good. It's like,
yeah, you want it to go out on a high note instead of forcing another one.
Yeah, because like with Uncharted 5, I'm like, all right, like I've done this already. I how many like Lost Civilizations are there?
Yeah,
they've already done 4.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, technically there's probably a fuck ton of Lost Civilizations, but I feel like, even though that's something that's been done over and over again. I think Naughty Dog has done it the best.
They've done it the best.
And I think that the lore that they put behind it is actually just has improved every single game, like, exceptionally.
It has. I just need...
No, I know. You just want something different.
I just want something different, you know? And, like, you can't do that. And, like, you can't do something different with the same character because then people are like, well, that's not... You know, Nathan Drake doesn't do that. Even though the new God of War trailer for PS4 looks phenomenal, and that is drastically different from the other God of Wars.
Yeah.
That I don't know how they pulled that off and make it look so cool, but
because it's a trailer.
It's true. That's a total vertical slice. There is nothing. Yeah. There is nothing like that that's going to be in the actual game. I guarantee it. But yeah, this game was so good and did everything so right that I'm just like, all right. Besides that gripe I mentioned before with the final boss, like that was really the only like thing that really took me out of the experience. But besides that, amazing, absolutely amazing.
Speaking of the final boss, one thing I really appreciated that they didn't do was like after Nate took him down or Sam took him down, that he magically got back up and was like, "Oh, I'm not done yet, dead yet," type of thing. You know, like when with a monster in a
ton of gold fell on him.
Yeah,
he was not getting up.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't like treat him like a Jason Voorhees and he gets back up and starts fighting again.
Yeah,
only to kill Sam or something.
Although, like throughout this whole game, like the amount of times you see Nathan and Sam like fall and like from distances, I don't know how they don't have like every limb broken. And even like at the end, like Sam has a pillar on him. Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, he's alive." Really? Wow. It must have landed on the exact right angle for him, maybe just to get lightly bruised, or maybe like a hairline fracture. Yeah. Like at best.
Either that, or he's got an extremely high pain tolerance.
Maybe. I mean, Conor McGregor just won with a broken foot, so.
Yeah. Well, that's Conor McGregor.
True.
That's insane. All right, so let's wrap this up. Conor, what would you give this game out of 10?
So, gameplay, probably the best of the series. Voice acting wise, it's stellar, just like from 2 to 3. Not that one isn't good. It's just there was definitely some hiccups just because it was on a brand new console with a brand new idea and a brand new concept. But that still came out exceptionally well. But from 2 to 4, it's been, I can't even tell you which one as far as when it comes to Deliverance is the best with their lines and their acting and everything. Like I said, the gameplay was great. Graphics, probably the best on PS4 I've seen so far.
Oh, the game was beautiful.
So I think ranking wise, I'd probably give it like a 9.5 out of 10. It's definitely one of the best games I played in this generation, and that's coming from a generation of consoles I'm not a fan of at all. Like I've disliked it like so far, like the run that the PS4 and Xbox One and Wii U have had. So it's just nice to finally get like a glimmer of like, wow, this is what I used to love in video games.
Right.
So yeah, 9.5, solid game. If you haven't played it, why?
Yeah, what the hell are you waiting for? Evan Bogner, if you're listening to this, thanks for... Evan asked me for a recommendation because he was torn between getting this or No Man's Sky. And No Man's Sky had just been released. It was like the day after it got released or whatever, and he's asking me because I had the game. It's like, oh, I don't know, what should I do? Should I get Uncharted first or No Man's Sky first? I said, well, get Uncharted first because, one, it actually has an ending. No Man's Sky technically really doesn't end. So you'll beat it, way before you can ever come close to actually beating No Man's Sky or like run out of gameplay. And two, it's fucking awesome. So get it, beat it, get No Man's Sky. What does he do? He gets No Man's Sky and then he sells it 2 days later. Or tries to sell it 2 days later.
He's an idiot.
He's a dumbass. He's your friend.
No. I don't even know, like, No Man's Sky is a cool concept, but I heard there's a lot of issues so far, the game.
I mean, if you're not on PC, the gameplay on PS4 is fine. There are some things that were promised that they left out, for sure. But, I mean...
For now, because, DLC
well, they
solves
said
everything.
all their DLC is going to be free.
All right, that's fine. Then that's commendable that they can do that. That's fine because then at least that's not technically a broken promise.
Right. Well, kind of. But the problem is, like, a lot of people were like, the hype overtook the game ever since it was.
I just gave it like a 6. That's the only review I saw so far, and I've been reading people saying like this is not the game like I was promised, and some people love it though.
I enjoy it because I didn't like. You set aside the hype and you accept it for what it is. It's a slow paced, like, mining, survival, gathering, exploring game, like exploration game, and there's some sort of story thrown in there that I haven't started, but you accept it for what it is, just like that. You strip it down, you set aside the hype, and accept it for what it is as those things. It's good. It's solid. You know, I've probably played maybe like 15 hours so far, and I like it for what it is. I'm doing a lot of exploring, discovering all the animal life, plant life, and stuff for which you get money for that. I'm trying to learn. There's a whole lore behind it where you have to learn these two civilizations' language. That's interesting. And you accept it for what it is, and it's one of the coolest looking games. Like, all the way it's procedurally generally generated is provides for some cool looking and interesting and ridiculous looking animals and stuff.
Yeah.
But this isn't a No Man's Sky review, so yeah, guys, I would give it, honestly, because it's probably the final one, and for how good of a job they did, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Because I thought this game was honestly amazing. There's a lot of hype living.
It lives up to the hype, though.
It definitely lives up to, and maybe even exceeds the hype.
It probably does.
I was 100% satisfied.
Yeah, they gave away a lot, though, as far as when it comes to gameplay trailers and stuff like that. I just almost kind of wish like they did a Fallout 4 where it was like, oh yeah, there probably was a massive amount of delays for Fallout 4, but we never knew about it because they didn't announce the game.
Yeah, because they didn't announce it until a few months before.
And I kind of wish they just did that with Uncharted 4. It's like, yeah, 3 months later, it's going to be out, or maybe 4. Like, maybe one delay.
But then it was delayed like 3 times or something like that.
It was delayed. I think it was delayed almost like a year. Maybe 8 months or something like that. But then, like, they kept releasing, like, in the meantime, like, all right, we're going to release this new gameplay trailer. And it's like, dude, like, I didn't watch them all the time, but it's just, like,
I think that part of that could have been from Sony because it's a PlayStation exclusive. Like, all right, we need the exclusive game to step up.
Yeah.
Like, just, release some of this. While Fallout 4 is, on every platform, so, like, they had the affordability to do it like that and not, have a big deal about it. But
true.
I know. I mean, yeah, that's the problem with any trailers. Now gameplay trailers are giving away a lot, but it is what it is. Like, if maybe only watch the first one and whatever. But I still think for what they did, and I kept getting annoyed that it kept getting delayed. But you know what? It's fine because it was worth it in the end.
Yeah, it was. It was totally worth it. It was really great. I probably give it a second playthrough soon. There's another game I have to cross off my list before I do that. But besides that, right now it's just I'm really holding out for NX. That's really it. Like, I canceled my pre-order for my Xbox One S, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna see what NX is like. See how I feel about that. So
I gotcha. That's fair. I mean, there's a couple games I'm looking forward to coming out later this year. Mainly Dishonored 2, and then Rise of the Tomb Raider is finally coming to PS4. I feel like I'm forgetting one or two, but those are pretty much the two biggest ones I'm looking forward to. And then the Fallout 4 final DLC, which comes out August 30th. But that pretty much covers it as far as games I'm looking forward to this year. Unless any like random amazing thing gets announced, but so far no.
Yeah.
I still have some on my PS4 aside from No Man's Sky that I got to beat anyway. So
yeah, and I as far as when it comes to like games like disappointing so far this year, I didn't even play Mighty Number 9, but I heard that was a disaster.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, video games, whatever. They'll come back around.
Yeah, for sure.
I know. Like, it's just me personally. I just been not happy with this console generation at all. With like game delays, glitches, broken games that I've bought and that have not worked the first day. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Or that have left out 75% of the actual content.
Yeah, that they promised. Like, it's gonna have this and that. Oh yeah, in DLC. Street Fighter V was the final like nail in the coffin.
See, at least when Battlefront was announced, EA straight up said, "Oh yeah, these things aren't in this game."
True.
At least that was there.
But they still sold the game for $60.
And then sold the season pass for $55.
Yeah.
That included jack shit.
Yep. That Star Wars Battlefront.
But at least they were upfront about it. You know, as shitty as EA is, at least they were upfront about it.
Yeah, that's true. At least they knew you were getting.
It pissed me off, and I hated it. Hated that they did that, and I didn't buy the game. My dumbass brother did after I told him not to. At least they were upfront about it.
True.
You know, it's better for me to not waste my money on it, knowing that stuff, than buying, you know,
not like Aliens, or Aliens Colonial Marines, which I didn't buy, thank God. But like, I was hyped for that game when they announced it and showed it, and then like, I was like, and like, there was finally like there was like stuff coming about like, you know, like the game is not what they said, and then I was like, all right, let me see what the internet says, and like there was just like YouTube Let's Plays of like, this is garbage, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, always trust the internet.
Yeah,
about everything.
With video games, you know what? Sometimes they're pretty on point, and
you're right.
Because I know that was a sarcastic statement, but I was just like, with Street Fighter V, I finally was like, fuck this. I bought that and the season pass, and I was just like, done. But Uncharted 4, it did not do that to me whatsoever.
Right, definitely an excellent buy. Well worth your money. They actually are going to have their first ever story DLC. It hasn't been announced when yet, but I'm going to be interested to see how that works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that about wraps it up. Thanks for listening, guys. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Awesome Sunday Show. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/Awesome Sun Show. Download us and rate us on iTunes and Podbean as well.
We have a new outsource too,
and now we are now on Google Play, Google Play Store for all you Android users.
Yeah, I mean, you still could have got us through Podbean, but still, some people,
some people just use the different podcast apps on Android.
Why not have a vessel for all?
Exactly, and you know what? It's all free.
It is. You won't have to pay for anything.
You don't. Yeah, and then follow our personal Twitters at RickPatMick.
I'm at Less Than Connor.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.
Peace.